We're back. It's time for the 2024 Urban NerdCon. Join us in Atlanta, Georgia, April 26th through the 28th at the Cortland Grand Hotel. Special guests include Underworld creator Kevin Grievous, Gary Gray from Fairly Odd Parents, from Nickelodeon, Giovanni Samuels, the Science Machine Michael Green, the Sci-Fi Sisters, and from Spaceballs and Star Trek Voyager, Tim Russ.
Hi, I'm Tim Russ. Join me April 26th through the 28th at the Cortland Grand Hotel in Atlanta, Georgia for the Urban NerdCon. Our heroes, our villains, our stories, everyone con. I'll see you there. Live long and prosper.
Visit theurbannerdcon.net to get your buy one, get one free badges before the price increases. Remember, our heroes, our villains, our stories, everyone's con. See you there.
Yeah.
I love my HBCU, and boy, I love it, I love it. I love my HBCU, and man, I hope my team they won one.
Yeah.
I hope my team they won one.
Yeah, man.
I hope my team they won one.
Yeah.
I hope my team they won one.
Yeah.
I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Good afternoon. Welcome to episode 497. Ooh, we closer than close to 500, Charles.
Yes, we are. Looking forward to what happens once we get to 500. That's going to be fun.
Great point.
Yeah.
I'll leave that right there. Welcome to episode 497 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab Radio Show and Podcast. The show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash, all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from NEIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, who is still on assignment. He did check in. He is moving around the world as he does in terms of his busy career, on assignment, getting things done in various ways, and I think we exhausted him. But we do have Charles here. Professor Bishop is in the building. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KCOH 12:30 a.m. studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Today's episode of Inside Consulting and Data Analytics. With that being said, Charles, how are you doing today?
Doing well, Doc. It's a pretty day today. It's a great golf day. We had some great baseball this past weekend. Got a chance to take in a few games, and man, it was just past Easter weekend. It was pretty nice. So really enjoyed myself and rested up just a little bit there. But we're back into the thick of things. A lot of spring sports on deck for the month of April.
Well, we won't spoil it too much. There is a little baseball to talk about out there. We got through our conference games, and we had a big game where Southern faced number 18 LSU, ranked this week in terms of that ranking. And they go down to the Southern Jaguars 12-7. We'll get a little more in terms of the other conference games this past weekend in the last segment. We have an interview, and hopefully we'll be able to get that to the coaches here with Grambling and Texas Southern that Charles was able to get some information as they were getting into the mix to get things done. But without further ado, Everybody's been sleeping under the rock that follows us, HBCU Sports, but just in case, Southern did, in fact, defeat the number 18 LSU Tigers. That's 12-7 in that matchup. Got to catch the end of that game. I saw some texts and messengers going back and forth, getting everybody updated that didn't realize the game was going on and that was going well for the Southern Jaguars. Last 3 innings, got to see a couple of those big hits in that case and big strikeouts fly out to end the game, literally. In that game, Tyler Hawkins with 3 hits, 3 runs, and 3 RBIs in front of 10,222 fans at the Alex Box Stadium. The final score of the game was 12-7, as we said, and Jags jumped out to a 3-0 lead in the second inning off a 3-run homer by Hawkins. Southern held the Tigers to only 4 hits on the night as they were getting it done. Harris picked up his first win of the season, pitching for 4 innings while giving up 5 runs and 4 hits after throwing 76 pitches. Burkett, the second, picked up 3rd save in the season, throwing 27 pitches in 2 innings while giving no hits or runs. LSU starting pitcher Cade Anderson, 2-1 on the season, was charged with the loss as he allowed 3 runs on 3 hits in 2 innings with 2 walks and 6 strikeouts. Big time victory for the SWAC for Southern. Southern started off a little slow. Shout out to Carlos, who was, a little concerned about his Jags. But I saw he beating his chest that night. I guess he's back on board. Sweep this past kid in Prairie and got the win over LSU. He like, all right. Said they all right. I said, Carlos,
yeah.
Come on, man. Stay up with your boys.
Yes, indeed.
Shout out to my man Carlos. I love to give him a hard time there in terms of what's going on there. With that being said, we will stay with a little bit baseball. I guess we can give some accolades, baseball, softball. With that being said, Charles, what direction you want to go after the news of that big victory by the Southern Jaguars?
We'll get into the baseball, but let's start off ladies first as we take a look at our SWAC softball weekly honors this week. The SWAC has tabbed Jackson State's Jace Jackson, Arkansas Pine Bluff's Kayla Adams, and Florida A&M's Zoriana Hughes as a SWAC softball weekly honors for their outstanding performances this past week. Doc, check out these stats. Hitter of the week was Jace Jackson from Jackson State. She finished the week hitting .500, going 6 for 12 from the plate against Mississippi Valley on the road. She recorded 8 RBIs over the weekend. She finished 4 for 4 with a pair of runs scored and 3 RBIs in the series finale, while going 2 for 4 with a pair of runs scored and 5 RBIs with a double and home run in the second game of the series. We have co-pitchers of the week. Let's start off with Kayla Adams from UAPB. She pitched a 3-hit shutout to lead the Lady Lions to a 3-0 victory over Grambling in Game 3. In the Game 3 clinching series, she went the distance for UAPB, giving up just 3 hits, walking none, and striking out 10 batters. Adams also started and set a school record by striking out 16 Grambling State batters over 7 innings of work during her appearance versus Grambling. And then we take a look at Zoriana Hughes. She was also co-pitcher of the week. Hughes had another great weekend on the mound while going 2-0 in 2 complete games versus Bethune-Cookman. The Rattlers won the series to claim first place in the SWAC East Division. Hughes pitched 16 innings and had a .88 ERA, allowing only 2 earned runs versus a Wildcats team that led the conference in hitting into the weekend. So big weekend for Rattler softball and Rattler baseball. Ooh, they had a heck of a weekend.
Yeah, Rattlers, they striking again. Yeah, boy, I tell you, I had to keep our eyes on those Rattlers. As I said earlier in the year, they've come over to the conference, and as they 3rd year in the mix, they seem to got comfortable in putting the shoes up. Or I guess you put the skin scales up or something. I don't know what you want to call it.
They having too much
fangs or whatever.
Too much fun down there in Tallahassee. Too much fun in the spring.
I agree with you in terms of what's going on there. Before we get in there, and we will give the poll rankings. Most of them will run through those pretty quick, but we do want to do them officially as we announced our champions in terms of inside the HBCU Sports Lab as represented by Dr. Cavil. But we do have one that is interesting that people kind of picked on late in terms of social media platform, and discussion is out there. who's going to be the champion of the major division. So we want to unveil that. Like anything, we prepared for streaming television broadcast network. We'll save that one for last. Not really. It's always last, but yeah, we certainly we'll see how it comes out with the final vote. Obviously, as we get into this, the discussion was Grambling came in with the lead, and Norfolk State, after winning the CBI, needed 2 first-place votes essentially to dethrone Grambling for the final week in the season to end the championship. So the question is did they flip at least 2 first-place votes? We shall see. With that being said, check this one out. I got a chance to talk to Jason Cavil. He asked my thoughts on it, and now here it comes. And it's intriguing because some people will look at this and have some question about resources, but we'll get a chance maybe in a follow-up show or something like that to talk a little bit about how people may not measure the financial benefit of something like this. But Alabama State becomes the latest HBCU to add women's flag football. Alabama State made history on Tuesday with an announcement that a women's flag football program will be joining the university's list of athletic offerings, citing growing interest in the development of the sport. ASU President Quentin Ross Jr. said in a statement that adding this program to our institution allows Alabama State University to align its sports offering to global standards to the future of emerging sport. The addition of flag football will provide both current and incoming students valuable opportunity to further their education while participating in the gridiron. So that's fascinating when you talk about Hornets athletic director Jason Cavil. He's quoted as saying, flag football is a fantastic way for young women to develop their social skills as well as their athletic ability while also encouraging exercise and physical fitness. The university is proud to be the first Division I HBCU school to offer a women's flag football program, end quote. Alabama State becomes the second HBCU overall offering women's flag football as a varsity sport. Florida Memorial, as you all may remember when we talked about them adding women's flag football back in 2021. So that's fascinating when you think about what's going on there. One thing that was fascinating when we were discussing is the fact that the state of Alabama actually has a growing population at the high school level state championship where they have flag football. I think that's significant of knowing what's taking place in your state and beyond to try to capture that marketplace. And I will talk about this now. As I said, I'll talk about it later. But oftentimes, when you think about baseball, for example, they're only allowed to give 11.7 scholarships, right? But you usually carry a 35-man roster in baseball. And so that means only a third has full scholarships. So 2/3 of your team, even though they might have partial scholarships to add up to 11, but if you're just doing overall, 2/3 of that team essentially are on some type of other aid, which means that's going into the university. So a lot of times you may see the value, even if you give out scholarships. If you're not giving full scholarships like you think in maybe basketball, where you need the revenue to generate to offset that cost, oftentimes you can have a sport, and you see this all the time at the NCAA Division II level where you offer a sport framework and you give some scholarships, but also the value of students playing that sport that are paying for tuition offsets any output in terms of scholarships. So you can see that in some way how this would be benefit in flag football, even if you're not giving a full allotment of scholarships. So with that being said, I thought that was big news, interesting, because I thought it was coming from an area that we don't see. Before we go to this break or anything else you want to share, I'm going to ask your thoughts on that, Charles, and then you can add some additional news.
I mean, not surprising that Alabama State would go in this direction because, like you mentioned, flag football for young ladies is huge in the state of Alabama. I have 2 or 3 friends and their daughters have literally kind of grown up playing a summer circuit, if you will, of flag football, and it carried over into high school. And this past year, I see Alabama held its first girls flag football championship. So not surprising that you would see it in the state. And I think this is another area that we start taking a look at that has potential for real growth with regards to HBCUs in terms of another one of those sports that you see a lot of individuals now participating in, along with we've talked about lacrosse. I know I have a nephew who's grown up basically within wrestling, and I know wrestling is huge on the East Coast, but you just have another outlet. And like you said, the tangible benefits of students coming to your university paying tuition, even if they're not on scholarship, but it adds to, this spring roster of sports.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Great points there. Before we go to this break, I did want to get this out for AD Drew. He has a former player that played with him at Tougaloo, 4-year starter at Tougaloo. He played basketball for AD Drew when he was coaching in that area. It is Morgan Hunter. You can go to URL in terms of is Morgan Hunter America's favorite teacher. If you would go to that, America's favorite teacher, URL.org, and support and give a vote to Morgan Hunter. She's currently in first place. So what we're doing out there certainly helped. We could get some additional folks to get out there and get that information. We appreciate it. I promised AD Drew that I would share that on his behalf. He's supporting one of his former students. I love that about coaches that always find a way to support their students as well as teachers. With that, let's go into our first break. We'll come back on the other side and see what we have in store as we get to the poll ranking. Mid-major women's, no big deal there, but we'll drop it and give you our national champion right here on Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Stick with us after this first break.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with the mid-major rankings top 5. Like we said, no real changes here. So we'll just go through the top 5 and maybe get Charles's final thoughts in terms of the season for the mid-major division, anything that surprised him and those types of things. At number 5 this week, dropping out, nobody did. Receiving votes, Virginia State Lady Trojans as well as Savannah State Trojans, both with 20-win seasons. We talked about going 10 deep with teams on the women's mid-major side that had 20-plus wins on the season. Outstanding year, I would say, at the NIA level as well as the Division II level. But number 5, you have the Miles Lady Golden Bears, 23-7, 15-4. That's coming out of the SIAC with 49 points. So they end the season representing SIAC in terms of one of the programs that are in the top 5 programs, the only program from the SIAC as well. Number 4, Xavier, the Gold Nuggets, 25-7, 19-3, 53 points out of the Red River Athletic Conference. They get it done at the NIA level, and they are in the top 5. Bringing us to number 3, Langston Lions, Sooner Athletic Conference, 24-8, 17-5, 60 points. They're at number 3 as they are in the final ranking of the 2023-2024 season. Bringing us to another NIA program, Rush Lady Bearcats, 28-4, 17-1, 2 first-place votes, 74 points. If you recall, for much of the season, they were ranked number 1, but a late, deep run by number 1 Fayetteville State Lady Broncos eclipsed the Rush Lady Bearcats a couple of weeks ago, and they hold on with 6 first-place votes, 29-3 on the season, 17-1, 1 win short of getting to that really significant number of 30 wins. But who can complain when you got 28 for the Rush Lady Bearcats and 29 for the Fayetteville State Lady Broncos? So they are the 2023-2024 HBCU Mid-Major Division Women's Basketball Poll Ranking in week number 13, the final ranking. The CIAA gets it done. This is the second year in a row that a Division II program, this time it shifts from the SIAC with Tuskegee getting it last year to the CIAA with Fayetteville State Broncos. But you see 3 NIA programs at the top 5. You do see a program from the SIAC. So with that being said, what are your thoughts in terms of NIA basketball, NCAA Division II basketball, how it all ended up, and the fact that Fayetteville State Broncos end the year as Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab, mid-major division, number 1 ranked program for 2023-2024?
Well, I think first and foremost, congratulations to the Fayetteville State Lady Broncos. Banner season, like you said, 1 win shy of that magical 30-win mark, but 29-3. Just a tremendous season. Much to my wife's chagrin, they were able to knock the Rush Lady Bearcats from that perch right at the end of the season. But I think you touched on something, Dr. Gill, just great representation with regards to NAIA, Division II basketball. You have a SIAC team. You got Sooner Athletic Conference. You got the CIAA, of course, national champions. But tremendous basketball that was played this past season. And it says a lot when your number 5 team, they've won 23 games. I mean, that's high-level basketball with regards to Xavier, Langston, Russ, and Fayetteville State coming in to the finish. So kudos to all those teams for a banner year.
Charles, let me ask you one follow-up question in terms of that. You know, early on, as we kind of got to the latter part of the season, we wanted to see that matchup between Fayetteville State, Virginia State. Virginia State really beat them up in the tournament. That was a semifinal matchup. But besides that, are there any matchups after you kind of see everything that you would have liked to have saw, whether it was in the NIA championship tournament or just a regular season preseason game, or even a conference game that wasn't played because of the way the conference are stacked up? Any other matchup that said, hey, I'd have loved to see this one?
I think any matchup where styles make fights, and I say that you see that on the Power 5 level where you have a team that can really shoot lights out from the perimeter versus a team where they dump it down low and really just rebound you to death. So we kind of saw that sort of dichotomy with regards to LSU and Iowa last night, which, by the way, and just side note, 12.8 million people watched that game last night. But I mean, that would be very interesting to see a matchup like that, whether it's Rust and Fayetteville State or whether it's Xavier and Langston. I like watching different styles and how teams win with different styles.
Good stuff. That's fascinating. I like the way you brought that and made the interconnection there at different levels, and even put in a little bulletin point there with some significant news on the women's game. So great point when you make it there. With that being said, let's get into our next break. We'll come back on the other side, give you the mid-major division. Again, no real changes there, but we'll bring it up and crown them as we end the season officially, and tell you what it looked like on that side for the mid-major for the men. Stick with us after this next break.
Itchy, squirmy, scratchy, family not getting clean? Get Charmin Ultra Strong. Go get 'em. It just cleans better. With a diamond weave texture, your family can use less while still getting clean.
Goodbye, itchy squirm. Hello, cream bottom.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
At Hampton Law, our primary goal is to provide non-traditional yet effective solutions and redefine the approach to client legal concerns. As your trusted legal advisor, we believe in sophisticated, personalized services that eliminate the confusion and complexity sometimes associated with legal matters. Our high standard for client care and concern, coupled with our extensive legal knowledge and skills, make Hampton Law a resource focused on the protection of the client's interest and overall goals. We value our clients and truly enjoy working with them. Visit thamptonlaw.com to conveniently schedule an appointment online. Tamika Hampton Esquire, 1631 Rock Springs Road, Suite 336, Apopka, Florida, 407-494-1471. thamptonlaw.com.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him.
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messages quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's get into the mid-major for the men's basketball poll rankings 2023, final rankings of the year. Let's just jump right into it. Like we said, no changes, dropping out, but receiving votes still. Two Blue Bulldogs, 23-7. Benedict Tigers, 23-8. That is of the GCAC and SIAC, respectively. Let's get into the top 5 programs. Philander Smith Panthers, 21-9, 14-4. Great season. Got a championship in the tournament of the GCAC that will become HBCU Athletic Conference July 1st. 45 points, getting it done. In the IA program, we'll see that reframe a couple of times maybe. Number 4, Florida Memorial Lions, 21-9, 14-4, 57 points as they win the Sun Conference Tournament, get themselves into the NIA tournament, much like Philander Smith. They end the season again with 21 wins at number 4. At number 3, we move from the NIA to the NCAA Division II, and we go into the SIAC, 22-7, 15-4, 65 points. The Golden Bears got it done. They were dethroned in terms of the tournament. They still come out of the West, winning that division, but they were dethroned for the conference tournament in a classic matchup at number 2, Clark Atlanta Panthers with 25 wins, 25-6 overall this season as they get it done, go into the tournament as Miles Golden Bears didn't get the NCAA 2 invite, but the Panthers got that automatic bid there essentially, top 6 in that region. Get it done for the Panthers, winning the SIAC 70 points and making a statement for this year. Bringing us to number 1, Langston Lions, 34-2, 21-7, played for an NAIA national championship, was leading the game late, as we talked about, that everybody's still trying to figure out how it did not quite get done. Kudos to the players, the programs, and the fans. Only program to get all 8 first-place votes or all first-place votes in any of the poll rankings. They get it done commanding 80 points. Langston Lions start to finish number 1 rankings as they do get to the magical 30 wins. They get 34-2 on the season, and again play for a championship to boot. With that being said, your mid-major men's champions is Langston Lions. Probably no question to you, Charles, about Langston Lions, but do want to get your thoughts in terms of Clark Atlanta Panthers, Miles, SIAC. You see 3 teams from the NIA, but what do you not see? The CIAA, which is obviously the best tournament out there, has been, but on the men's side, unlike what happened on the women's side, they don't even have a team in the top 5. If you went into the top 10, they wouldn't even have a team ranked in the top 10, Charles. What are your thoughts in terms of CIAA, in terms of Lincoln Lions got it done in the tournament, but they only had 17 wins on the season, to give you an example of what took place in the CIAA, and they arguably were the best team.
I think the question becomes, is the CIAA down, or is there just that much parity in the CIAA? I think those are a couple things that jump out, but I think it is glaring that you don't have a CIAA team in the top 5, but kudos to the NAIA representatives. When you take a look at Philander Smith, Division II, Miles, Clark, tremendous year. But I just take my hat off. I mean, it means a lot to go wire to wire, and Langston went wire to wire in terms of taking on all comers and 34 wins. And, I think, the national championship game will stick out in everybody's head. Literally 62 seconds away from being national champions, but a banner year nonetheless. 34-2, amazing season. And, it was a tremendous year for Langston, going wire to wire. It just makes you feel a certain way knowing they were that close.
Yeah, well, especially when you put it like that, 62 seconds. The minute just seems further off, which is close, but 62 seconds is like, man, you can't even walk out your office in 62 seconds. Get in your car in 62 seconds. You're like that close, but in a game, it's a lifetime. As we've seen it this year. Kudos. What's going to be fascinating next year, obviously they'll find a way to reload. They'll be in the mix, but how much for those players that were that close, how much more hunger will they have? How harder will they work? The coaches, can they keep everybody together? We talk about, coaches still in the mix for other jobs. Will he stay at Langston? There's no indication that he's leaving. I want to make that clear, but you just never know in terms of what that looks like. And obviously, when you talk about Chris, the head coach there, is a fact, Chris Wright, that he was that close in terms of playing for a championship 2 years ago. So he's going to be hungry. He certainly understands what it means to get there that close. Good point by Emmett Jones when you talk about just 2 years ago. They were 1-27. So he certainly changed around their program. He feels like Langston is treating him right. So they're putting in the money in that program. And kudos to Langston, because they're not just doing it from a men's perspective. The women's was a top 5 program. And so that's a lot going on. I really have made my mind up that I'm going to look very strategic at the schedule next year, and I'm going to have to find my way to Langston to check out a basketball game next season.
Yeah, that should be fun. I mean, in terms of looking at what Langston's been able to get done over the past couple of seasons. Yeah, I was saying that should be a must-see to get up there and catch a little Langston basketball, especially with the program that they're building up there, Doc.
I will say this before we end it here. I know this is a little different, but obviously we're working on some plans in terms of us as inside the HBCU Sports Labs to travel to see a couple of games. We've done it really big for football season in terms of getting out there for some big classic kickoff games, end of the season. We've been in the MEAC tournament, SWAC tournament, CIAA tournament, SIAC tournament. Got to find a way to get the HBCU Athletic Conference tournament in terms of the 5th HBCU conference. Click that. Now they're in a stable place. Tuscaloosa. We'll see what that looks like. But I'm going to find a way to get to some of these bucket list games. That Clark, Atlanta, Morehouse game. That Dillard, Xavier game. Get to a Langston game. Get over to the CIAA and get to that Fayetteville State, Winston-Salem State game, or one of those Johnson C. Smith games of that nature. I'm going to have to find a way to get some of these games, a regular season MEAC matchup between like Howard and Norfolk State. Over the years, I'm going to find a way to check some of these boxes off while these teams are putting in the mix. I'm excited about what that looks like. With that being said, let's get to the other side. We'll come back with the major division for the women as we knock it down. Obviously, Fayetteville State, mid-major on the women's side. Langston Lions, mid-major on the men's side. Let's take this next break and come back and see who gets it done at the women's side for the major division. Stick with us. We'll be back after this break.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Wilson, and see who gets it done in terms of the top 5 program. Again, let's jump right into it. As we didn't have a team dropping out, receiving votes in terms of those top 2 programs were Howard Bison, 15-6, 10-4. They played for a MEAC championship. And North Carolina Central Eagles, probably one of the best improved programs in the MEAC, 16-15, 19-5, really getting it done in a lot of ways. At number 5, UAPB, Golden Lions, as we jump to the top 5, 17-6, 11-5, winning programs for the Golden Lions, solid year, 51 points out of the SWAC. At number 4, North Carolina A&T State Aggies out of the Coastal Athletic Association, 22-11, 20-plus wins on the season for the Aggies. The Lady Aggies getting it done. Made a great run in terms of what they did in the NIT in terms of winning 2 games in that tournament. And number 3, you have Grambling State Tigers, 23-9, 15-3. If it wasn't for this Grambling State Tigers, you'd talk probably more about North Carolina Central. But Grambling State, under new year head coach, gets a tremendous season with 23 wins, 9 losses, won a NIT game themselves, finishing 15-3 in the SWAC. Grambling State Tigers are certainly on the rise with 62 points, finishing the 2023-24 rankings at number 3. Bringing us to number 2, Norfolk State Spartans, 27-6, 13-1. One first place vote, 73 points. Getting it done there, bringing us to number 1, Jackson State Tigers, 26-7, 18-0. Getting the championship there. They had Norfolk State that dethroned them last year to get it done, but they bring it back after winning it 2 years ago. I'm a little surprised in terms of the first place vote differential from Norfolk State in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
26-7, 18-0 in conference race. I guess that one loss early in the season for Norfolk State really stuck with a lot of the voters here in terms of those rankings, but they get it done in terms of Jackson State Tigers for the 2023 Major Division National Championship for Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Huddle report. And fascinating here, like I said, not surprised that Jackson State was number 1 in the ranking, but maybe the difference in the points for first place votes. But with that being said, let me go to you, Charles, and get your thoughts on the major division for the women.
Again, you take your hats off, Jackson State being the major division, HBCU national champions. When you take a look at what Tamika Reed has done in her 6th season at Jackson State, 95-10 in conference play. 95-10 in conference play. She's compiled a record of 125-54. Jackson State's program is just moving in the right direction, a 14 seed this past season. But you talk about matchups that I do want to see, Doc. Yeah, I want to see Jackson State take on Norfolk State. You know, I want to see North Carolina A&T take on a Grambling, who I think is an upstart in the conference in terms of what they've been able to do with their program. You know, I want to see what UAPB does with a North Carolina A&T or a Norfolk State. So those are matchups I would love to see in some round robin format over a weekend. So however we can get that done. But Tamika Reed, I mean, she's done a tremendous job, and reports coming out this afternoon that Jackson State is preparing to offer her a 4-year extension on her contract worth up to $1 million.
Shoot, man, it's putting your money where your mouth is. Shout out to Jackson State. Tried to tell some people, but I'll leave that at the back seat. I'm glad you brought it up. I was just going to leave it alone here. 90 winning percentage. You said 95-10. That's 90%. Over 90%.
That's amazing.
Her winning percentage is fascinating. The other thing that I like that you brought up, you're right, man, getting some matchups between Jackson State and Norfolk State, Grambling State and North Carolina A&T, or Jackson State, North Carolina A&T, and Grambling State and Norfolk State. Those type of matchups would be fascinating. But I do have another question I do want to ask you, both flip it and get to the men. 3 SWAC teams in the top 5. One MEAC. You have the independent program, North Carolina A&T. What are your thoughts in terms on the women's side, in terms of 3 SWAC teams versus just 1 for the MEAC?
That's why I want to see the matchups. I really want to see. I want to see is the SWAC about their life. I want to see if they really are that conference right now in terms of women's basketball. I think Norfolk State make a great argument. Like, hold on, y'all talking all this Grambling Jackson State stuff. We play basketball over here too. So that would be interesting to see next season, Doc. What somebody can put together.
Good stuff. Good stuff. We'll take our life break and make sure that everybody knows you can hit Charles up. He's the one talking all that. Hit him up. I'll be right back after this next break. We'll get into the men's division and give you that. That's the one everybody's been waiting for. This one we'll see. Is there any flip at the top of the rankings? It coming down. The 1 and 2 programs, you know who they are. Norfolk State, in terms of Grambling State. We'll see what that means of these programs. Stick with us. Be right back after this next break.
We're back. It's time for the 2024 Urban NerdCon. Join us in Atlanta, Georgia, April 26th through the 28th at the Cortland Grand Hotel. Special guests include Underworld creator Kevin Grievous, Gary Gray from Fairly Odd Parents, from Nickelodeon, Giovanni Samuels, the Science Machine Michael Green, the Sci-Fi Sisters, and from Spaceballs and Star Trek Voyager, Tim Russ.
Hi, I'm Tim Russ. Join me April 26th through the 28th at the Cortland Grand Hotel in Atlanta, Georgia for the Urban NerdCon. Our heroes, our villains, our stories. Everyone con. I'll see you there. Live long and prosper.
Visit theurbannerdcon.net to get your buy one, get one free badges before the price increases. Remember, our heroes, our villains, our stories. Everyone's con. See you there.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil. Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's get into the major division. Top 5 programs. We'll start it off and do it appropriately. There were no teams dropping out this week. Receiving votes with Texas Southern Tigers, 16-7, 12-6. Southern Jaguars coming in with 18-14 in terms of the top 5 rankings. Just to give you bottom out on this census, the last one, we have the Alcorn State Braves coming in essentially at number 8. Number 9 is Bethune-Cookman Wildcats, 17-17. The Braves were 14-18. And South Carolina State Bulldogs, kudos to this program getting back in the mix as they had a solid season, 14-18. Be interesting to see how they move forward. At number 5, we go outside of the 2 major HBCU conferences, and we have Tennessee State Tigers that finished at 18-15, 10-8, coming out of OVC, 41 points. They were ranked at number 5. Bring us to number 4. We go with North Carolina Central Eagles out of the MEAC, 18-13 on the season, 9-5, 51 points to be ranked number 4 as they close things out. And number 3, you have the Howard Bison, 18-17, 9-5, 52 points. And they hold down the 3 spot. At number 2, drum roll. Any changes here at number 2? Let the people say what they wish. At number 2, Norfolk State Spartans, 24-11, 11-3. 5 first place votes. They pick up 1 first place vote. First place vote. Couldn't fit one more. So number 1, the Grambling State Tigers out of the SWAC, 21-15, 14-4. 6 first place votes. They do lose 1, but they hold on to the value needed 1 vote. 104 to 103 was the difference. One of the closest top 2 matchups in some time. Since I've been doing this over some 20-some years. Grambling State Tigers, Norfolk State Spartans. The Tigers finished the regular season, just to break it down, winning the conference. They win the tournament. They go into the first 4 of the NCAA tournament and win that game to get it done. But you had Norfolk State. They win the regular season. They go to the semifinals in the tournament. They lose to in that, but they come back and go to the CBI. They get the number 1 seed. They get a bye. They play in the semifinals. They play an HBCU program, Alabama A&M. They get it done there. And they come from behind to win the championship at home postseason. So 24 wins, a couple of more wins than Grambling. Really close in terms of that matchup. Other thing is interesting when you think about this, 3 MEAC teams are in the top 5, only 1 SWAC team. But if you look at the top 10, you do have 5 SWAC in the top 10 with 4 MEAC in the top 10 in terms of what that looks like. So interesting when you all calculate it up. Charles, the people want to know, what are your thoughts?
So the question becomes, what became the deciding factor in terms of Grambling just edging Norfolk State? I'm looking at the conference records. Impressive. How big was that first 4 win for Grambling?
I think for me, my vote, I can only tell you my vote. In terms of the calculation, is really close. I think Norfolk State edged them out in terms of the computer rankings because of their non-conference schedule. Overall number of wins, Grambling State had a couple of bigger Power 5 wins in terms of that matchup, would help them keep it close enough. In terms of the votes, it'd be interesting. I might have to canvass them and kind of get their thoughts on that. But I will tell you from my perspective in terms of the vote that I had in here, I think the fact that Grambling did it, the tournament, regular season, and the fact that Norfolk State got the benefit of having the number 1 seed and getting that bye and going straight to the semifinals. I think if they would have did 3 in the tournament, they may have flipped my particular vote, which obviously would have been the difference.
Yeah.
But it was really tight. It was just really tight. In this way, as you alluded to last week, this is a year that you could have easily had co-champions. Just didn't work out like that when you add in the human component of the actual poll voters on here. 11 of them, if you extrapolate it out and get more voters, maybe you do get tied in terms of that framework. But fascinating to see. I think Grambling State getting it done and kind of knocking that off.
Yeah.
They had never been in the tournament. How they weighed on them. I think that probably swayed some voters. It was another point that I looked at in terms of what it looks like there. But these are 2 great matchups. Have you seen Grambling play? They lost to Delaware State in that classic. I do like the fact that they play in some of those classics. They played Jackson State, a conference game, but they did play that on the road. A couple of years ago, they played Southern. And so they've been getting on the road and playing a lot of conference games. But it would be nice. Obviously, Chris Paul controls it. The Chris Paul Classic in Las Vegas. Can we get a Grambling State, Norfolk State matchup?
That would be fun.
It would be fascinating to see how that would look. Kind of figuring out things. I know the team kind of changes from year to year. But with that being said, what else do you want to add, Charles?
Yeah, I mean, congratulations, Coach Dante Jackson, in terms of Grambling getting it done in the SWAC tournament. Like you said, finally getting it done. And we jokingly refer to that SWAC tournament as the Texas Southern Invitational because they've been so dominant. But I mentioned it earlier, to get that 400-pound gorilla off their back and actually get the trophy, that was huge for Grambling, huge for Grambling's basketball program that has been an elite program, but just not good enough to knock off Texas Southern, finally able to get over the hump this year. So congratulations to them.
I think that's another key component, that you knock off the team that everybody thinks is a solid program. Obviously, in terms of tournament, going to 3 straight, you couldn't beat that. And this is the team that beat them last year, so they got to avenge that a little bit. You talking about what took place last night. You saw that on the women's game where you had 12 million plus followers. You alluded to something about those rematches get some people's juices and energy going.
It does.
Some people talking about Boston Lakers connection. I went back to UNLV Duke Day.
There it is. Yeah.
Time Duke came back as UNLV was going for an undefeated season of all things to knock them off.
My heart was broken.
Final Four. Big time program. So matchups, that's more kind of stuck in my head. But with that being said, congratulations to all 4 programs in terms of getting championship, mid-major, and major division. But this year, 2023, 2024, in the major division from the men, Grambling State Tigers just edged off Norfolk State Spartans to earn this year's HBCU Major Division National Champions. With that being said, we'll take a last break. We'll come back on the other side, talk a little bit about baseball as things are getting going, get Charles' thoughts on that. We'll see if we can get some coaches' thoughts on this, and we'll get into what took place this weekend. We'll save next week's matchups as we come back on Thursday and give you a deeper dive as things are starting to get rolling. You had the teams that came out hot, maybe not so much. We'll see what that looks like as things have already changed in the wild and wacky West and East division of the SWAC. We'll see what that looks like on the other side when we talk about this previous weekend's matchup. Stick with us. Be right back after our last break.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Cavil's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KeaversVoice.com. Cavil's Voice, Cavil's Voice, CavilsVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Game of this series, what was your assessment of the weekend?
I mean, you know, we lost the series. You know, obviously we didn't pitch well. We have concerns about, you know, how we pitching the plate at our home field. Is very difficult to handle a team like Grambling without, you know, getting ahead and getting first out of innings. Just a little bit better if we can, you know, get ahead and count and get the first out of every inning. And even if you give up a home run, you know, that's 1 run. It's just a difficult place to pitch in with big swings like Grambling, you know. So, but all in all, showed a lot of fight in this last game, a lot of resiliency. I think I used just about every arm that I could on in relief today, and you know we built off of that. And then also even off the bench, you know, we probably used the whole roster to get it done. So a good team win, showed a lot of heart, got a lot of momentum going into Tuesday ball game, and even leading into the big weekend series next week against Southern.
You know, we talked about the rugged SWAC West, but what is it that you take from this weekend to go into next weekend against Southern?
Yeah, you better not blink because it's the Wild Wild West. You know, we told them, you know, every game is probably going to be decided in the 7th, 8th, 9th inning, but it's never going to be an opponent in the West where we can say, hey, we know this is going to be easy day. We still got to play good baseball. We want to try to do 3 of the things well in the game: pitch, play defense, and timely hit.
Well, Coach, you took 2 of 3 from the Tigers this weekend, from Texas Southern Tigers. Tremendous weekend for the Grambling baseball. Talk a little bit about your assessment of the team this weekend.
Hey, I thought the first 2 games, man, we really came out swinging the bats extremely well, executed well, and it showed in the scores. I thought we, you know, the first 2 games we really, put a lot of pressure on them offensively, and the bullpen really came out and did what they're supposed to do along with our starting pitching. I thought, you know, game 3, you know, offensively, we put up 13 runs. I just didn't think that we finished the game with the bullpen. I thought we made too many mistakes, allowed too much traffic on the base pass, didn't make quality pitches, and allowed them to get back in the game and had some of their better guys come up to the plate and they cashed in.
You know, Coach, you guys came in this weekend. Your bats really turned a lot of heads, I think, around the conference with regards to the way you all were able to attack Texas Southern's pitching. But talk a little bit about your bats.
We got to approach, you know, we want to stay middle of the field, and, you know, it's fortunate that we play in the ballpark over here at TSU where, you know, it's 315 down both lines. So it really allowed us to really attack the ball in the air, and, you know, some wind was blowing out. So we tried to get the ball up, and I think it worked out for us, man, with the home runs that we hit this weekend. But still, you know, you can score 13 runs and 10 runs and 12. You can do all that. But if you don't defend and you don't pitch well, you know, you're going to have yourself on the end of games like this where you allow teams to score about 8 runs in 2 innings. And, you know, that's not the style of baseball that we want to play. So we got to be better out of the bullpen, throwing quality strikes, and not creating big innings for other teams. And I think that's what we did for them. We created the innings for them. But they cashed in. Hats off to them because they had to score. They had to swing the bats well. But I think that we created those innings for them, and it allowed us to end up on the losing side of it.
At the end of the day, it still comes down to pitching and defense.
All right, it comes down to pitching and defense, man. But it's a swag Sunday. You know, a lot of guys are tapped in their bullpen and things of that nature, and it's a slug it out fest. And but we got to get better starting pitching on a Sunday. I thought.
This is Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Charles, great questions in terms of 3 games where Grambling on the bat side. Obviously, credit to Texas Southern at last Sunday because I thought they were down deep. I think Grambling had them 13-8, and they found a way to slug out some runs late in the game to get the 3rd game. But that's 4 straight games for Grambling in terms of conference play where they scored over 10-plus runs in the game. And you alluded to in terms of those big bats. Talk a little bit about Grambling and what you saw of what they're able to do in terms of getting it done at the plate.
1 through 9, they got a bunch of guys that can go deep. I mean, they were extremely impressive. I think Coach Pierre, he alluded to it. I mean, when you play over there at McGregor, 315 down the lines, and when the wind is blowing out, you're going to have those games where that pitching staff can get taxed real easy. And he talked about it even on the rubber game this past Saturday, where they were deep on the bench in terms of down in the bullpen, getting some arms in there, and Texas Southern was able to take advantage of it in the rubber game. But I mean, Grambling, that taking 2 of 3 here in Houston, that was huge. But you take a look all around the conference. I mean, the bats were alive this weekend. You take a look at FAM, 10 runs, 11 runs against Jackson State. Jackson State came in with a pretty healthy pitching in terms of that series. FAMU with the sweep. You take a look, I believe UAPB put up 29 runs against Alcorn. Southern had a huge weekend. They had 2 double-digit games, 22 runs against Prairie View. So you look around the conference, and the bats were really alive this weekend. We'll be very interested going into this weekend to see if pitching staffs can kind of make a little bit of a comeback and get some of these scores down a little bit.
Yeah, they usually say pitching is on early. I don't know about in the SWAC. The bats are hot. As you alluded to particular matchups, that first game on Thursday, Grambling came out, won 13-5 over Texas Southern. Alcorn gets a game from Arkansas Pine Bluff 8-7, but Pine Bluff kind of pounded them in that second game. FAMU gets over Jackson State in that matchup, and Bethune-Cookman 8-7 against Alabama A&M. Just to tell you how things kicked off Thursday. Any thoughts on those particular games as we look at, and I'll give you some updates after your thoughts in terms of Friday, Saturday. Obviously at Prairie View, they did Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but a lot of the teams, because of Easter Sunday, did Thursday, Friday, Saturday. What's your thoughts on those Thursday games that were played?
Well, you take a look around the conference, and I think the series that really opened my eyes was FAMU and Jackson State. Wasn't expecting a FAMU sweep of Jackson State. Jackson State came into that series with a lot of momentum. They've been playing great ball. I think they came into that series 19-5, and they came out licking their wounds a little bit against a great hitting FAMU baseball team. And Granger pitched a well of a game against Jackson State in that opener, and it kind of set the tone for the series. So that opening game. This past week, this Thursday, Friday, Saturday slate of games, that opening game was a tone setter. Bethune-Cookman did what they had to do against Alabama A&M. I know we talked about really paying attention to this Alabama A&M baseball program, and that was sort of a litmus test going against Bethune-Cookman. Bethune-Cookman came through. But Southern, I mean, my goodness, did they ever turn heads this weekend? Huge weekend sweep of Prairie View, and then to back in that, knocking off the defending national champions on Monday night. Their bats really got loose this past weekend and Monday.
Yeah, just to finish things off, to give some additional scores, as you alluded to, Alabama State, I told you I was intrigued about what happened. They had that one close game, but outside of that, they brought back those bats and opened things up as they beat up on Valley 16-6. Again, Texas Southern does a 7-inning shortened game, winning 13-3 over Texas Southern that you alluded to. Arkansas Pine Bluff puts up 29 against Alcorn State. 29-3 to be exact. FAMU, as they continue to get it done against Jackson State, they win that second game 8-3. Alabama State had a much closer game in the second one, winning 9-4. Bethune-Cookman gets it done over Alabama A&M, and Prairie View cannot find a way to hold down Southern as they come back and win that game 7-5 in terms of the first game on that. And then you had those big matchups coming on Saturday and Sunday. But in terms of where you see the standings, what are your thoughts in the standings? You think Bethune-Cookman, as they're holding it out in the East, it's really coming down the Grambling and the Southern and the West, but you still have Bethune-Cookman and FAMU. Jackson State is right there. We'll see where Texas Southern Prairie View ends up. Any thoughts in terms of the standing early in the season before we even get to the halfway mark?
Yeah, I think that was, like I said, alluding to Florida A&M and Jackson State. Jackson State came in with a ton of momentum, but they left kind of with the tiger tail between their legs. FAMU with a tremendous weekend, 7-2 in conference play. You mentioned Bethune-Cookman. They're just quietly churning along, 7-1 going into this weekend. And then you take a look at the West. I think Southern really turned a lot of heads this weekend. I was really interested in that series against Prairie View. I think Prairie View is a tremendous baseball team, but they swept Prairie View. So Prairie View thus far have gotten off to kind of a sluggish start in conference play. We'll see if they can turn it around 4-5 going into this weekend's games with Prairie View.
Good stuff, good stuff. We'll save some other baseball talk for Thursday where we'll get into that old talk about the East. Maybe having more arms. Does that still hold true in the bats in the West? You know, when they start to come up for the tournament, we get a little closer. We'll start keeping more eyes on that. I'd like to get your thoughts on Thursday out there and the viewers to see what their things are going in terms of the West versus the East as we see those matchups. We get some during the week matchups. We'll give you some indication. We had some early season crossover matchups, but it'll be fascinating to see what that looks like going down the stretch as we get prepared for the SWAC tournament in Atlanta. With that being said, I want to say thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, come from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. We hope you enjoyed the show, as we want to thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday. We'll be back on Thursday at 6 o'clock sharp to give you the latest news of HBCU sports in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on X, formerly known as Twitter. That's Facebook and Instagram, DrKenyattaCavil. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on X, formerly known as Twitter. Facebook and YouTube is Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We'll talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Brian?
Lecture.
Dismiss.
Press the analytics.